Shalom Acres. We had a big day, actually the big couple days here on the homestead, and we're going to take you through that here in a little bit. But before we get into any of that, there was a few families that came out to help us today. So I want to go ahead and say thanks to those families. So we had Zach out here from An American Homestead. Probably seen him out here before. He's helped us in the past several times, and hopefully in the future we can return that same favor to him. We also had we had Nick and his son Tim. They came out, and an experience they wanted to undertake. They've done several deer, but they've never done such a large animal. And then we also had Steve and his wife Sabrina came out. I want to thank them for not only helping out here, but also helping in the kitchen. Just a big blessing overall to have all those families come out and help us today. So I kind of gave it away. Yes, what we're going to be talking about today, we actually butchered another cow. So we had another animal on our homestead that actually had horns. And I really didn't want to go through another whole summer of having him out here just because of my younger children, and also even for myself. He was too big for his, kind of too big for his own britches, and we kind of hurt him as a young animal. I would always come up and rub him on the top of his head. And anytime you have an animal with horns, just caution you now, especially if you're going to be handling them a lot, don't do that, because it ends up being an issue later on, because he comes up to you and he wants you to rub his head. Well, you should have, when he was young, I should have taught him by rubbing underneath his neck, so he would have came up with his head raised up and done that. So something that we've learned here on our homestead, hopefully you can pass that on and share that with your homestead. So that's one area that reason why we wanted to go ahead and harvest him. The other reason why we decided to harvest him was we had some friends that wanted to borrow him, so he went out, planted his seed. He's still got his genes out there with some of our friends. So if it's some genes that we want to have back on our homestead, we can definitely do that, because he bred 2 of their cows. It's a great opportunity for him to go ahead and pass on his seed. So what we did today to kind of make today successful was actually started yesterday. So yesterday we had to get everything set up. So we set up our gambrel as far as how we're going to hoist the animal up. We had to get our water coolers, everything all cleaned, get the table all cleaned, use a little bit of bleach. Well, first we get it all wet, then we use a little bit of bleach. I would say probably like a 5% solution. Anywhere from 3 to 5% is what we used. Then we washed everything off again with water. And then from there we pretty much let it all air dry so we'd have it ready. And then to my right, your left, you'll see a fire that's here. So we had to set up a bunch of cedar slabs that we had that just didn't work out for some of our other buildings that we had here on the homestead. So we went ahead and put those extra slabs that we had down. And then I went over to my neighbor's property and cut I cut a few hundred trees down. They were smaller. Most of them were probably only 5 inches in diameter. But the cedars that he had that were larger, we went ahead and cut those and drug them back, because we're going to be using those in the orchard area for our blackberries. But all the tops of those, we went ahead and cut them all out. And hopefully we had a good picture of showing everything that we had. Huge brush pile here today. Really, and then we just took it all as the day went on, as we got the internal parts of the animals that we didn't use. We put them all here, and you can see the small pile. It's amazing how it all just burned down. Just pushed it in with the tractor and made it safe and for everything. So taking you through today then. So what happened this morning was I had our animal, we let him not have food for 24 hours. And then I went ahead and brought him up with a feed bucket to real close to the area where we were going to go ahead and harvest the animal. So I'm not going to take you into that, but we ended up shooting the animal. So we did shoot him in the head, used a 30-06, dropped him instantly, and then from there I went ahead and cut his jugular so then he could bleed out. And that worked out superb. No problems with that at all. From there, just used our tractor, drug him probably maybe 15 feet so we could set him up for the gambrel. And right before we set him up for the gambrel, we went ahead and cut him open so that way we could, then remove his internal organs. And those internal organs, just like you saw in our previous video as far as when we were butchered, all those internal organs and the bones, all that stuff, all that material again was used for dog food. So we had, while we did have material that went on the fire, it was a lot less because the only thing that went on there was the head, the stomachs, and the intestines, and a couple of the larger bones that just were to be hard for the dogs to process, such as your in your hip area, that where it connects on your pelvis. So that's what went on the fire. So after we had the animal gutted and we hoisted him up, we used the hoist to relieve the rest of the animal guts and the internal organs that came out, and we dropped that all on a tarp. That allowed us to drag it. So once we did that, then our process next was to take the hide off the animal. So we pulled the hide off, and as we pulled the hide off, it exposed kind of where we had a good opportunity for what we were going to do next. So once you get that down, the best part to do for us, and most people probably agree with this, is to remove the front legs. So we removed the front legs. After we removed the front legs, we went ahead and pulled off the fillet and also the back straps. And then we went ahead and pulled off the ribs. So the rib cages the rib cage on a cow is really long. It's probably close to 4 feet. But we went ahead and pulled that off in sections, 2 sections, looking specifically at the short ribs, and then we went ahead and pulled off the total rib cage. And there was a little bit that was left for where the back strap was, and then we just cut that out, keeping that for the dogs. After we pulled that all down and cut out the rest of the vertebrae, because that was kind of what was left, then we lowered down the back hams, took those off from the pelvic area, just cut them off in one piece, no saw, nothing like that, just came through and actually cut through the ball joint, and then we placed those on the table. And while we're doing this, so we had a team that was actually working on the cow, and we had a team that was working on the table deboning. And that team that was working on the table deboning, they were going ahead and taking out any fat, tendons, those types of things, making the choice. If it was a really choice cut, we threw it in the white cooler. If it wasn't such a choice cut, we threw it in the blue cooler. The difference between the coolers was one's going to be hamburger and one will be our choice cuts as far as roast or steaks. So again, the teams were working really well together. We did stop for lunch, and I don't remember if I mentioned the time frame, but we started at 7:30 in the morning, and from when we had everything 100% done and cleaned up, it was just after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That was with the morning break and also a lunch break. So we used those break times to not only rejuvenate our body, but also get a game plan for where we were going. So, if you look at 7:30 till 2, what is that, 5.5 hours? But we had an hour's worth of breaks in there. So in 4.5 hours that we had the whole time processing out or deboning the animal. It's all in the cooler now. Luke and I are going to be going ahead and processing it up either tomorrow or Friday. And we're going to go ahead and take out the nice roast. We're going to be making a couple more videos. We're going to show how we make jerky and what specific slices of the animal that we use for the jerky. They're specifically on the back strap. And then we're also going to be making some breakfast sausage. So Luke and I'll take you through making breakfast sausage here in a future video and kind of make sure that comes to life. So some of the things that I would say that made the day super successful. One, had a group of folks here that didn't act as individuals, and everybody worked together, just as a team. It was phenomenal. So I definitely want to say thanks again to Zach. Thanks again to Nick and Tim, Steve, and Sabrina. And I also want to thank my son. He was here, Luke, working with me. So when you have a team that wants to work, that makes it great. The fact that now this is our 5th cow and we've learned where the obstacles and where the opportunities may be is another advantage. So, the first time you do this, don't expect it to happen in, 2 to 3 hours. But realistically, next time, I think we probably could get it done in 3.5 hours. I mean, there's a few areas that we could have trimmed out and done a few things differently. And I think that's a possibility. So don't get discouraged. When you have your first animal, whether it's a sheep, a goat, a deer, whatever, continue on, because you're going to get faster at it. We've butchered a lot of animals so far on our homestead, and you really get better at it. The next thing is having the right equipment. So we have a knife sharpening system here, which we'll try to put that video link in the bottom. That knife sharpening system saves you so much time versus a stone, and you can do 8 knives in probably 4 to 5 minutes. I mean, you just roll through it. So you always have a sharp knife available. You know, you have a runner that's capable of doing that. It makes a big difference. And really having everything set up the day before is another big area that saves you a lot of time. So hopefully these are the types of things that you can do on your homestead, and as we demonstrated here today. And I just ask you to to share this with your friends. Hopefully throughout this, as I'm talking, what we're going to do is just lay in some clips so you'll see that. Hopefully those clips kind of demonstrate where we're at. And then I think Zach from An American Homestead is also going to do a video too, kind of showing some other different clips of kind of where he's at. But like I said, great day, truly feel blessed. Everybody was safe. You know, the animal I think experienced minimal to no pain based on how the kill was. And overall, just couldn't ask for anything better because we got some of the best quality meat of anywhere in our cooler, and we're going to take that and soon have that for our homestead. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and share with other people, and ask them to subscribe also. Have a great one. Shalom.